Hey, it's Tarek Ali. A little birdie told me that you wish there was more frequent uploads to help you in your healing journey and that you didn't have to wait months for the next podcast episode. Well, now you don't have to. Check the description to find out how you can leap into healing, the subscriber edition of this podcast where you will get weekly episodes. Yep, you heard me. Weekly episodes. These exclusive subscriber-only episodes will include tools and tangible practices and methods I've come up with to help you heal and grow, reviews of the main show episodes for messages you may have missed, and even more bonus episodes like affirmations, mindset shifts, and Ask Tariq. Check out the description so you can find out more and start leaping into healing today. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to That Conversation, a podcast where we have those hard conversations that help us grow with me, your host, Tarek Ali. I want to say thank you for coming back for another episode. I actually didn't plan to do this episode. I didn't write an outline. It's not a fancy talk, but you get the same. Y'all know me. This episode is going to be good for anyone that is used to being really hard on themselves. But not only that, you probably were hard on yourselves and you validated yourself in that hardness. And what I mean by that is I was hard on myself and I always felt validated in it and righteous because it brought me so much in my life, like success, money, certain friendships. And I felt like I was getting a lot from being hard on myself, and I was using my trauma as a life coach until I hit a ceiling and I fell rock bottom. And then I talk about that healing process, and then also what I learned about healing, feeling, and also grieving. This episode also has a visual aspect to it. This is the very first episode of the podcast that has a visual. So if you're listening to this on, whatever streaming service, I want to say thank you. Please make sure that you rate and you review. But if you want to see visuals and you want to see me cry, you can go to my YouTube channel at Tarek Ali and you can watch. Make sure that you like it there and you comment and just let me know what you think. I am always here to just get feedback from you all and see what you would like from me. What would you like me to speak about and all of that. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to get right into the episode. And I just want to say thank you to all of you. And I'm wishing you all so much healing and so much love. And I just thank you for everything. But yeah, we'll get right into the episode. Hello, my name is Tarek Ali. Welcome to That Conversation. I believe this may be episode 4. This is me just trying something out. I wasn't going to do another episode until the studio was done. This is the studio. There was way more in here, but then I decided to change everything. So that's why it's been a while since my last episode. I'm trying to get this studio together so that I can start bringing on more people onto the podcast to start having that conversation. So if you've been following along, especially if you listen to the first episode of this podcast, then you know about the pressure that I was putting on myself when it came to just content and creating. So the crazy thing is, I used to think that once you figured out something or once you learned something that you're like, oh, I shouldn't eat this because it's bad for me. You just assume that you're just going to go into a life that you stop eating it. Or, smoking isn't good for you. So you think you're just going to stop smoking just because that knowledge is up here. But that's not how habits work. That's something that is a norm. When you've spent more time doing something or more time with something being a norm, even when you come to that new knowledge, it's going to take some time to make that new thing a new norm. And so I didn't even think about it, but in the beginning, I knew that I was adding a lot of pressure onto myself when it came to making content, and just being on camera and being perfect and my perfectionism. And so I just never thought about it, and I wasn't intentional with it outside of TikTok. Because to be honest, I like TikTok because they don't want you to be perfect, and there's no room to be perfect. It doesn't perform that good when you're perfect. They like authenticity and they like that rawness. And so that's one reason you'll see I post so much on TikTok. But I'm saying all this to say that when I was doing this, I started and I was releasing myself of the pressure, but then I realized I was enjoying the podcast, and then when I was enjoying it and other people were enjoying it, people were like, oh my gosh, this touched me. I love this episode. I started to subconsciously add that pressure back, right? And I was like, I got to get the studio together. It has to be perfect. Like I did this. Me and my producing assistant, my producer, we were doing this room, and I was like, no, I can't do another episode until the visuals are ready and we can get the numbers up and boom, boom, boom. And I just realized that I was adding that pressure back. And so I had to take a step back and remind myself, Tarek, don't put that pressure on yourself, okay? You don't want that pressure. Now, if that's something that you want, okay, go ahead, push yourself, do that. But for me personally, I knew I didn't want that pressure anymore. I've been doing this for a long time, and pressure got me a lot of things. Pressure is what got me 300K subscribers on YouTube. Pressure is what got me all the numbers on all the other platforms. Pressure is what helped me do a lot of the things I didn't want to do, like finishing college. I mean, I wanted to finish college, but you get what I'm saying. So pressure has gotten me a lot of things, but I just know that it's not sustainable and it's not long lasting for me, at least. And I'm in this process of just giving myself grace and healing my inner child. And I don't think pressure is something that is healthy for me right now. And so anything that feels pressuring, I don't do that to myself. I realized this as I was doing the studio and people were asking me, oh, when's the next episode on like Instagram and everything? And I was like, oh, well, I'm trying to finish the set. So, it's probably going to be July. They was like, July? You haven't, posted it, And if you listen to the first episode of this podcast, then, I got to the understanding that my words is what got me here. It wasn't the perfect production. It wasn't like that added to it. Yes, absolutely. But I had to remind myself of what my purpose was on this earth. And that is the message and my voice. And so I just want to always keep that at the forefront. And the visuals, I'm good in visuals and production. So that's going to come naturally. But not every single thing needs to be, I don't know. I just come from a different time in social media. I sound old. It's so funny. The new TikTok girls, I was hanging out with Victor and DeAndre. And they call me an OG because I just been doing it for so long and they make me feel old. I'm like, yo, I'm 24. But I don't know. I just come from a time in social media where there wasn't as many content creators and it wasn't as much content to consume. Like now you have so much content to consume. Instagram has videos and reels now. There's TikTok and then there's YouTube and YouTube shorts. And I don't know, back when I was doing it was just YouTube videos and then post your pictures on Instagram and then say what you got to say from your mind on Twitter. That was it. Now it's like so much content. And I don't know, people's expectation of like production and all of that has just lowered. And it's been a hard transition for me because the way that I made content, every single thing I made was very tedious and very intentional. Like just, if you know my content, you know what I'm talking about. It took time to edit a video. Like it took time, not only to come up with a concept, to film it, then to edit it. And that's why people only came out with stuff like once a week, twice a week. Now these girls be posting TikToks, like 3 TikToks a day. And different videos, it's just a lot. And so it's been a transition for me, but I'm just saying all of this to say that I realized that the pressure was coming back subconsciously, and I was telling myself that I couldn't do this unless this looked perfect, and everything looks perfect. And also a part of that is like, I feel like since I've been doing this for so long, and like Victor and Dre was calling me OG, I felt like I had to keep up this like, oh, he's been doing this for a long time. Like I didn't want to go backwards. I didn't want people to be very honest and being transparent, I didn't want people to like click on a video and be like, oof, remember when his production used to be? Now he in a room and ain't nothing in there and boom, boom, boom. And I was caring a lot about what people would think and then what people would judge. But I also judged myself in that manner. And that's because a lot of my identity and a lot of my value was based off the perception of others before. And I'm in this new season where I get to decide my value. And I understand my value outside of what I do and what I have done and what I succeed. I'm valuable without those things. And so, yes, I woke up and I was like, I want to do a podcast. The thing is, I like doing this. I like doing this. I'm very introspective, as you guys know, and there's so many things that so many words that I get, so many things that I learn, so many things that I realize that I want to share, and I know it will help so many people. And I'm going through something right now that is I'm just so happy, but I'm also like feeling let's just get right into it. Okay, so I'm grieving, and I've been grieving. I didn't expect to get emotional that fast. I've been on an intense healing journey for 2 years now. And if you actually follow me, and if you actually know my content, then you probably could tell. For 2 years, it just seems like I'm here, and then I'm not, and then I'm here, and then I'm not. And it's not just my content. That's how I actually feel. But I'm crying right now because I'm happy, because I feel like I finally finished. I'm not done with my growth. I just feel like these past 2 years I needed to feel, and I needed to heal with some things that I never have in my life. I got into therapy, and I've just been really healing, man. I went through a lot in my life, and I never really felt it or healed. I just allowed everything I went through to be my coach. I let trauma be my coach. And that's why I have so much. Is because I just always kept my traumas and my fears at the top of my head every time I had a goal. And that pushed me, because I've slept in cars, I've been homeless, I've been abandoned, I've been assaulted, I've been it's just been so much. And so I never really dealt with any of it. I just kind of use it as I don't want to go back there. I'm not going to let them say this. And I just stayed strong. I stayed strong. But I realized that even the strongest people have to stop and really look at what's holding them back. And though my trauma was pushing me so far, right? At some point it stopped me. I like to believe now, I understand it differently. You can let trauma be your life coach, and it will get you pretty far. It's crazy. You realize a lot of successful people usually have horrible stories. Well, not horrible, you know what I mean? They come from so much struggle. They come from so much pain. It's oh, I moved to LA with $2 and a son. Or, I was this and my mom was this and now I'm a millionaire. It's always a great story, right? And it's because for a lot of us, when you go through so much, the pits of hell. The pits. And so every time you have a goal, you just think of that and you no, I'm not going there. But there's a roof. I believe there's a ceiling with that trauma coach. It can't take you but so far. You can keep using it, but you won't find peace. You won't find peace, because even when we are striving, we're not in peace. We're just, that peace that we feel is actually validation from the success. It's not actual peace. And what happened was that I was using trauma as my coach, and I got so far. I got all the way to LA. But it's funny because the week I moved here was when trauma just couldn't be my coach anymore. I was, it's a longer story. But I started grieving. I started healing when I came to LA. I started feeling. Let me get there first. I started feeling. And because I believe you have to feel before you can heal. Also, today is not going to be like a very like structured talk. I really just want to come here and just be vulnerable and transparent and talk like I would a friend. And so if I always feel this like pressure to like drop a gem, like make a point. But today I'm just gonna feel, and I'm just gonna talk. And so if it's all over the place, I'm so sorry. I have ADHD and there's no other person here to like keep me on track. So it's just me and God. But for 2 years, I've been in a lot of pain, and I finally feel I'm on the other side, but I didn't start grieving until my breakup. And this is not a breakup episode, okay? I know a lot of people have been asking me for a breakup episode because I spoke about it a lot on my YouTube. Well, not a lot, but like here and there on my YouTube. And I am going to do one, but I started grieving with my breakup. I broke up with my ex in November. And October and November, it was Halloween that he pulled the stunt. And yeah. And losing him triggered something. I mean, yeah, I lost him, and he was the love of my life. It felt like I was in love. In love. I've never felt that before, y'all. I mean, I get it. I get it. I mean, being that deep in love, I get why these girls get tattoos on their face. I get why these girls get married in 4 months. No, not that one. But I get it. I mean, I was really in love. I really, 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 really loved him. And so when I lost him, and it felt like, losing him triggered so much because it reminded me of losing my dad and losing my mom and losing my family. It just triggered so much. It felt like all of those other times. So because I was in therapy, my therapist actually helped me understand that I had to feel. And see, the thing is, my therapist. Therapy is so important. She taught me how to like hold space for myself and grace. She taught me how to feel and how to heal. And I was never taught that. And I don't think I'm going to speak about my people right now. This is for everybody, but I'm going to speak about my people because I know a lot of people can relate to this, but I know a lot of Black people can relate to that. We weren't really taught how to feel and how to heal. And that's because we went through so much as a community and individually, that I think that for a lot of people, if they felt that, not a lot of people make it out of that hole of depression. And it's so much every day. It's not even like it was from the past. It's so much every day that if you was to feel all that, we would be really sad people. And that's why we make a lot of jokes about it. And, people don't know how to accept their emotions. They go to anger, where like, it's just so much. But I was never taught how to do that. And my therapist, she was telling me, like, she paid attention to how I dealt with trauma and traumatic events. And when this happened, I said this in a video, I was going straight to trying to feel better after this breakup. I was getting massages like every other day. I was meditating all day. I was reading books. I was looking in the mirror saying, I love myself. I was toxic positivity. Like, I was pumping so much into me so that I could feel good because I was in so much pain. And she was like, Tarek, you're jumping right to the solution. And she was like, I get it. And see, the thing is, she'll tell me what I'm doing, right? And a lot of people take that. Somebody will tell you what you're doing, like, oh, you're tearing yourself apart, or you're doing this. And people will take that and be like, oh, that's wrong. I don't want to do that. I'm not, boom, boom, boom. But she made space for me. She had grace. She's like, but I understand why you're doing it. I understand. You went through a lot as a child, and you had to go through a lot of it alone. And the only way that you could move forward, especially with being juggled through homes, like through all of that, like you had to make a lot of your own decisions. You had to be the solution maker. And so when you go through things, you don't even make space or time to even feel anything. You just go straight to the solution. Okay, so what are we doing about this? Like, I don't even care. Like, what are we doing? And she was like, you've pretty much conditioned yourself. Like, when you experience something bad or you don't feel good, you immediately go to, how can I feel better? Or how can I learn from this? But there is a period in between where you should feel. You should feel, babe. And so now I have an understanding that you have to feel before you can heal. And so she actually taught me what grieving was. And also, I also read or listened to something, I think on the Calm app, about grieving. And grieving, if I can remember correctly, I think this person said, grieving is when you lose something that is very important to you that you also attribute to your identity. So that can be family, that could be a job, that could be a passion, that could be anything that you put towards your identity, or that is something that is a part of your everyday life. And so when I lost the first breakup, see, it was toxic. So it was a couple times, but we can get into that in the breakup episode. But I lost him, and I also felt like I lost my mom. I had never felt that. I had never felt the loss of my mom and my dad. And so losing him, I actually started feeling like adult me was crying, but also the inner child of me was crying. The 7-year-old me and the teenager me, we all were sad. The 7-year-old, the little kid me was sad because if you watch my YouTube, my stepmom raised me from baby up until like 6th grade, and she just left us one day. And not only her, but she took my siblings, her kids. They were my step siblings, but my memory, they were my brothers and sisters. They were not step. She was my mom, and she was present more than my actual biological mom in my life. And so when she left us, and she took 4 or 5 of her kids, and they couldn't talk to us. So I literally lost 5 brothers and sisters and a mom. And I never really felt that or dealt with that. And not only that, I also was feeling, I just realized that in this world, I was always waiting for mommy and daddy to come home. Like my actual mom and dad. I was always waiting for them to come home. And losing my ex, I finally just accepted that I won't ever really have that mommy. And that's not me losing faith. It's just the reality. I won't. What I wanted from my mom, like I wanted my mom to be my mommy. I wanted a perfect relationship with her. I wanted her to fly to LA and stay at my house for a week and clean it and cook. And, when I have breakups, I call her and I'm crying on the phone like a mommy. But I've never really had that with my mom, and even in the position that I am in now, and she's not even in a position to give me that. But I was always waiting for mommy to come home, and the same thing for my dad. I haven't talked to either of them in months. It's so long. So I was just grieving. I lost so much. Hey, it's me again. I know you're enjoying the show, but I want to keep it ad-free the way it's been. That's the way it should be. And when you subscribe to this show, you're not only supporting your own healing journey, but you're helping us produce this show so that we can continue healing millions. Check out the description so you can find out how you can leap into healing and subscribe to the show today. And so I'm saying all of this to say, I'm trying not to make this like a super sad episode. I'm saying all this to say that was my first time grieving in November. And in that grieving process, I'm so happy I had a therapist because she helped me through the process of it. And I learned in grieving, it was so funny during my breakup, I was sad, really sad. Like every single day after we broke up, I was crying like 5 times a day. I mean, everything reminded me of him, girl. I'll see the color blue and think about something he said about that color, girl. Just everything. And I was also grieving my parents. So whenever I saw like a dad and a son, I would cry. I was down bad, but I would cry every day for like 2 weeks. And then after that, I was like, okay, it's every other day now. Like I'm not crying every single day. Like I'm crying every other day. It's getting better. And then there was like a week that I wasn't crying at all. And I was like, oh, period. Like I'm over it, whatever. And then out of nowhere, I wake up and it feels like the day after we broke up. And I'm like, wow, I'm going backwards. I'm going backwards. How am I just as sad as I was when we first broke up? And it's been like a month or two. But then I learned that in the grieving process, that's how it is. I was like, oh, okay, that's how it's supposed to go. Like I can have a random week where it feels like the week that it happened. Well, that's fun. Okay. So that is the proper way of feeling. And not like running away from the feelings. When the feeling comes up, not like, oh, how can I feel better? How can I feel better? Like, oh, I need to feel better. The goal isn't to feel better. The goal is to feel. When you run away from your feelings, in the future, when you have feelings or similar feelings, you've conditioned yourself to run. And so in some moments, even when you can't even run, you won't know how to deal with those feelings because you never dealt with them before. And this is why a lot of people have these feelings and they run to anger, they run to violence, they run to avoidance, they run to all of these things that don't actually help them. And that's because they never learned how to actually deal with their feelings and how to feel their feelings. When you feel them and you allow them to be present, you gotta get used to them. Like, oh, this is what anxiety feels like. Oh, this is what depression feels like. Oh, this is what betrayal feels like. This is what grieving feels like. So that the next time you feel it, not only do you know the process and you understand, like, and you can identify it, your self-awareness is improved, but also your emotional intelligence, it's building, and also your resilience. But not only that, it was also that in these moments of feeling, I didn't run to other people, it's okay. You can ask for help and you can ask for support. There should be people there pouring into you. Yes. But if every time you feel something, you run to something else, whether it's drugs, alcohol, that boyfriend, that best friend, but you never look to yourself, what are you going to do? I mean, well, it's not even what are you going to do? You're going to always be dependent on something else. But I'm here to let you know that you can run to yourself as well. You should be on that team of things that you have to help. You are on the team as well. And so when I was feeling these things, it was important to me that I showed up for myself because I wanted to create a new norm where I trusted that if I go through something or if I feel this again, Tarek is going to be there for me. Because to be completely honest, I don't really think that I was there for myself before. I was really hard on myself. And I never really knew what that meant, like being hard on yourself. When people told me that I was hard on myself, I thought they were just saying that I was like really disciplined and like I pushed myself. But I saw nothing wrong with that because I was like, I get everything I want. Like I'm successful. And not in an ego way, but like in a way of like, well, it worked. But when I started to really understand what being hard on yourself was, for me, I had to kind of look at it like, what does it mean to be hard on your friend? And it means having no grace, having no sympathy, having no compassion. And when I looked at like, if someone was hard on me, like, what would that look like? Oh, I'm like, oh, I missed the gym today. And they're like, you're lazy. And boom, boom, boom. And like, just not giving me any grace. Like, dang, I probably had a long day or maybe I just wasn't feeling it. And I realized that I did do that to myself. If I made a goal and I wasn't doing what I thought is perfect to get to it, I'll be like, Tarek, what are you doing? you need to get up. You're being lazy. Do you want this? And with everything, I just wouldn't allow myself any grace. And so even when I experienced like traumatic things, I just always was like, you could have done this. I have a good example of this, being hard on yourself and not showing yourself any grace. One of my friends, she was dating this guy, and this guy was like an asshole to her. And she kind of dealt with it for a little bit. She was like, I always feel bad for straight women, I will say, because it's not a lot of, look, to me, I feel like y'all have to bite the bullet on a lot of stuff. You don't have to, but you know what I mean. Like a lot of women that like are my friends, there's a lot of things that they don't like with the dudes they be talking to, but they kind of like that's men. And I get it, because men are not great. But so she kind of was like biting the bullet, because she was just like, that's a man, And so long story short, he was an asshole to her. And so she finally decided to cut him off, right? And after she cut him off, she was talking to me about it. And she was like, ugh, I'm just so mad that I put myself in that position, and boom, 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 boom. And like, I shouldn't have boom, boom, boom. And I was like, why are you being so hard on yourself? She was like, what do you mean? I said, I was about to say her name. I'm going to make up a fake name because I don't know if she's okay with me sharing. I was like, Julie, he was just an asshole, but like, you're internalizing that. She was like, what? She was like, what do you mean? I was like, you're internalizing him being an asshole. Like, you think that there's something that you could have done to prevent him from being an asshole. When no, whether you did this, or that, or you were nice or you were mean, he would still be an asshole. He was an asshole before he met you, and he will be an asshole tomorrow. And there's nothing that you could have done to change the way that he treated you. So this isn't your fault. Like, you're blaming yourself, and you're internalizing it and thinking that there's something that you could have done to make him not an asshole. But no, there's nothing that you could have done to be treated better. He had to choose to treat you better. And she was like, thank you. Because she was internalizing all of that. She was making all of the treatment she was getting, all of that mistreatment, she was thinking that it was her fault for putting herself in that position. And she said this and didn't say that. And I shouldn't have did that first night, because that made him think that he was boom, boom, boom. Whoa. Now, look, I'm all about stepping back and looking how you could have shown up better, right? But showing grace for yourself is saying like, I did this in this moment because I needed and wanted this. It didn't work out for things out of my control, him being an asshole, but I know next time this is what I can do to prevent that. But it wasn't your fault before. So yes, you can think about how you did put yourself in this position, but it's not your fault that you were in that position. There's a difference. And so that's what showing grace is like. It's like understanding why you made those decisions and making room for it, and like giving yourself understanding, like, no, I get it, but like next time, let's try this. That's grace. And now I forgot why I was talking about grace. It was something about me showing myself grace. I know it was something about me showing myself grace, but yes, in this healing process, in this grieving process, every time that I just felt sad or really down, or like those feelings came back up like it was fresh, or I'm just not okay, I showed up for myself. I stopped. This was in the beginning of me getting to know myself and my inner child. So I was very big on like, and I share this on YouTube, like touching myself and speaking to myself and asking myself, what do you need? What do you need? And also journaling. For me, and I'm writing a book about this, but for me, it really, you have to really treat yourself like another person. How do you know what's wrong with your friend? You have to ask them. And you can't just pull it out of them. They got to tell you the way that they tell you. And you got to try to understand it. And you got to try, like, you don't like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? No, no. Like, no, like, and you may not even get an answer. What's wrong? You may not even know. You don't need to know. You don't need to know what's wrong with your friend in order to give them love, to give them support, to be there for them. You don't need to know. You know that your friend is not okay. And so you just be like, it's okay, girl. I'll just sit here and watch TV with you. And so that's what I did sometimes. If I knew I wasn't okay, and if I didn't know what I knew I needed love, and I knew I needed support. And I would just give myself that. And so in this process, I'm creating a new norm, right? Because like I said before, when you went a longer time with those bad habits or those unhealthy habits, I went 23 years with that, right? And so I've only been doing this new process of showing up for myself in this way for a shorter amount of time. So I have to be intentional about it, and make sure that I do it continuously so that it becomes a new norm. So that after the 50th time, I'm like, oh, I always do this. Like every time I feel bad, I journal. Or like every time I feel bad, I show up for myself. And so every time I feel grief or sadness, I just show up for myself. And I'm currently grieving because I finished my grieving with my mom and my dad. I finally accepted that I'll never really have that mommy and daddy. I just have two people that are my biological parents, and I can either have a relationship with them or I can't. And I can get to know them. I can spend time with them, but I don't think I'll ever have a mommy and a daddy. And I don't want to say that. I don't want to say I'll never have, because I don't want to ever limit myself in what God can give me and what the world has for me or the universe. What I'm saying is I accept that I don't have it now. And I'm not expecting it. I'm not anxious for it, but I will receive if God decides to give that to me. But I know that it just felt like a little kid at the door with his suitcases waiting for mommy to come. And it wasn't healthy, because when mommy wouldn't come, I would leave the house and go on the street, go to the mall, go to the park and look for mommy, look for daddy. And I would look for it in men. I would look for it in friends. I would look for it in products, money, success. I would look for that feeling everywhere. But when I accepted that nobody else can feel that, but also I'm not getting that right now. Acceptance brought so much peace. So I finished my grieving with my parents, but as we'll talk about in the breakup episode, after breaking up with my ex in November, after 4 or 5 months, we started talking again. And then we got back into it. Not fully, like not a relationship, but like, you know what I mean? And long story short, we broke up. We didn't break, we weren't together, but it just happened again. It was more stuff. Several things happened. We broke up 3 times, I think. And so I finally had my last one recently. I'm done. I'm done. And I'm free. I had to take a moment because I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. I love that man to death, and I still love that man to death. I love him so much, but that relationship was... See, I tried to end it before it was more toxic than it was love. I experienced now, now at this point, I've experienced more toxicity than I did enjoyment and love in that relationship. And it was mentally, psychologically, and emotionally abusive. And I just don't want to get into that right now, but still love that man. And I wish nothing but the best for him. But recently, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't even want to know when it happened. Because I'm really, this time, I'm actually, please, please, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I want my reality back. Like, I want my reality back. I was like losing who I was in myself. Like, I was allowing him and other people to just tell me who I was and what my intentions were. Anyways, that happened recently, and so I'm grieving him. I'm grieving him again, but this time is different because I've grieved before with him. And so, but also this time is different because before I was walking away from him because I knew he wasn't good for me, right? But I still wanted him. I still loved him. And I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I know this is good for me, you know? But this time I want to, like, please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. So it's a little different. But sorry, you can see so much is going on through my head. Good thing we got visuals now. Whew, it's a lot, girl. But yeah, that. But also, aside from that, I'm also grieving friends. I lost like 4+ friends this past couple of months. But the thing is, I lost friends, but I gained so much from the loss of those friends. And when I say lost, I didn't mean like passed away or anything, but like I just lost friends. Like, they're not really my friends in the way that they were before. And these were people that I hung out with all the time. Whenever I went out, I was with them. Whenever I did anything, I was with them. When I had house events, they came. I threw one of them party in my house. Like, it's like a lot of friends. And then, so I was grieving that because I actually loved those people. But I was grieving that. And then also, last week I lost another friend that wasn't even in that friend group. Another friend group, I lost a friend. And so just dealing with so much loss, like mommy, daddy, ex, and then all those friends. It's a lot, man. I was exhausted. So that's also another reason the podcast has not been like my content, because honestly, in this healing process, I'm coming first. Because I know now that my art is really tied to my emotions. If I'm not okay, my work won't be okay. I can't even create if I'm not okay, because so much of my work is through my emotions and through like me, like, you know, like it's, you know, my words, all of that. And so I have to take care of myself because I want to be here for a long time. Even outside of my work, I care about me and all of the people in me, the inner child in me. Like, I just care about me. I value, that's what it is. I value myself now. And I understand my value, and I know that I need to be taken care of. The difference was before, I was waiting for someone to take care of me. I was waiting for mommy and daddy. And when I wasn't waiting for mommy and daddy, I was waiting for my ex. And when I wasn't waiting for my ex, I was waiting for those friends. And until I realized, I was like, I can take care of me. And so now that is my greatest priority, is taking care of me right now. Especially, well, it will always be, but right now I'm just very big on it. Like, nothing comes before it, because I'm healing my inner child. Like, he's starting to trust me again. He used to be so scared of me. My body used to be so scared of me. I used to be scared of myself in a way. I didn't trust myself. I was a good coach, but I wasn't a good friend. I wasn't a good supporter. I wasn't a good lover. I wasn't any of that. And so I lost another friend last week, Sunday actually, but this one was different. We got into a disagreement about something, and we just agreed that we should just grow separately right now. Like, just, so pretty much I lost, like, we're not going to be talking, and I'm not going to see them. And this was after losing the other bigger group of friends. And so before I would internalize, and especially in the relationship that I was in, he did a very good job of making everything my fault, to the point where a stranger could punch me in the face, and my initial thought would be, what did I do? I internalized everything. And I was so happy because this time with that friend on Sunday, I didn't do that. I knew that it had nothing to do with me. And so I didn't internalize it, and I didn't put shame on myself for what was happening. But even with that knowing and without that shame, I still feel loss. You're still losing. And so I'm still going to grieve. And so I woke up on Monday, which was yesterday. Today's Tuesday. I woke up yesterday and I was not okay. And I was like, why am I sad? Well, like the first thought was like, why am I sad? I know I didn't do anything wrong. But I was like, oh, I still lost. And I know that because I've experienced so much loss in my life, from my stepmom to those step siblings, to my mom and my dad, to those friends, to my ex, and then all of it being recent, the loss of even that person and even knowing that it wasn't my fault and just all of that, it triggers all of that. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm just grieving. And so when I realized I was grieving, I was like, okay, don't push yourself today. Like, I know you wanted to work today and you had some goals, but like I said, my number one priority right now is taking care of me. So I didn't work and I just let myself be. And whatever my body called to, I did. So yesterday, I usually go to the beach whenever I'm not okay, but I had just went to the beach Sunday. So on Monday, I was like, I've been in the sun a lot. Like, look at my tan. Look at my watch tan. Like, and I just want to take care of my skin. So I can't be in the sun like that. It's a lot. And so I just went and got a massage. Oof, loved a massage. And then I came home and yeah, I just laid down. But like not in a depressing way, like being in the bed with my shutters closed and the lights off, but like just did things around the house. And like if I wanted to take a walk, but just being there for me. It's kind of like spending quality time with myself. And I honestly now understand the term taking it day by day because now I understand that I don't know how I'm gonna feel tomorrow when I'm like not okay, or if I'm going through a lot, because every day I could feel different. Like I'll wake up happy and the next day I'll be sad and the next day I'm happy and then I'm happy again and then I'm sad. I'm like, look, just taking it day by day. I really go to bed every night like, oof. God, help me out. Let me wake up good. And so today I woke up like not as bad as yesterday. It kind of felt like yesterday was level, like if I could put it on a scale. Yesterday of sadness, I was like here. If this is the ground, I was like here. I was like at a 2. I got it for the audio people. I'm like at a 2. And then today I was like at a 1. And so tomorrow I feel like I'll be back. But if not, like I don't want to place expectations. I'm just saying that because I understand my process now. Like I've done this enough now that I'm like, oh, okay, today's a little, I know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. Emotional intelligence, self-awareness. But don't place expectations like, oh, I got to get over this in 4 days. Don't do that. But like today I was like, I'm not sad, but like I still feel. I have residues. And so I'm not going to go hard on myself, but I'm going to try to work. And if at any moment I'm stressed or I feel like I'm pushing myself, then I'm going to stop. But I knew I wanted to come talk about this for my own therapy, but also to help other people. But yes, when it comes to the podcast, I'm going to be adding visuals. And by the next time that y'all see this is going to look completely different because the rug gets here tomorrow. Everything is going to look different. And also on YouTube, a lot of my lifestyle content, guys, you can find, like, if you want to see vlogs, if you want to see, like, all the stuff you see on my YouTube, you're going to see that on my TikTok and Instagram now. I don't think I'm going to be doing that on YouTube anymore. I think that my YouTube purely is going to be like this. It's just too much. It's too much work, and I don't have enough time for it. And I also just don't enjoy doing it that much anymore, like with the long form. Writing is my biggest joy. Wow, it makes me so happy. And I'm so good at it. I love it so much. That's my main priority. That's my main goal. And everything else is like me having fun again and me just doing it. And it pays my bills. But so yeah, just want to be transparent about that. But I love you guys, and I thank you guys for everything. My thighs out, child. Was my thighs out like this the whole video? If so, girl, y'all got a show. I know that's right. My tea is cold. Talking too much. But that's the episode, guys. I really just wanted to come and talk about that. Truly not even sure what I talked about. I know I talked about healing. Yeah, y'all know. Y'all listened. I'm just going to close the episode now. I thank you guys. Please make sure that you share and you rate the podcast. And yeah, just thank you. No need to promote and like be a businessman right now. I'm just happy. I'm happy I showed up for me today, this morning. I'm happy that I allowed myself to just be on camera. Like, wow, I wasn't anxious today on camera. I'm so happy. Thank you guys. Okay. I'm about to go to the gym. Wow, this was really healing. Okay, I'm leaving. Thank you guys. Love you. Hey, it's Tarek Ali. A little birdie told me that you wish there was more frequent uploads to help you in your healing journey and that you didn't have to wait months for the next podcast episode. Well, now you don't have to. Check the description to find out how you can leap into healing, the subscriber edition of this podcast where you will get weekly episodes. Yep, you heard me. Weekly episodes. These exclusive subscriber-only episodes will include tools and tangible practices and methods I've come up with to help you heal and grow, reviews of the main show episodes for messages you may have missed, and even more bonus episodes like affirmations, mindset shifts, and Ask Tarek. Check out the description so you can find out more and start leaping into healing today.